We're standing here with Ray Dellumo. He's going to explain how the cars come in and how they go out. Hi, Ray.
Hey, yeah, here's a good example. Over in the corner, you'll see a Colonial White 57.
Okay.
And it's rough because, you know, they're not making them anymore, and all these cars generally are 60 years old at this point. So this is typical of what I'll get in from anywhere in the country. This car's got some parts missing. It's fortunately, however, what we call an E-code, which is a special engine option. But it's rusty and it's ugly and it's cruddy. But once it gets a makeover, it's really a sight to behold. Even the engine compartment, you can see, is terrible. This car has probably been parked for 30 years.
But yet it has a chrome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about it.
It looks like from AutoZone, perhaps.
Yeah.
Then, when I decide to break the car down, it goes into the shop behind us, to the body shop, which is over here.
Okay.
Where there's also several Thunderbirds waiting their turn to be in the lineup for restoration.
So this is the Thunder Garage.
This is Thunder Garage right here. This is the disassembly and body shop and paint area. The building behind us is the assembly building. You have to have a clean building to put the cars together. This is a 56, which is just a driver. Now in here you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Thunderbirds, all 57s. They all run. This one here is actually a finished rolling chassis that is going on the car that's in the assembly building, because now it's time to drop the body. As you can see, this is the steam. It's also an E-code, which is a dual quads, meaning 2 carburetors, almost 300 horsepower, fresh engine, fresh transmission, fresh rear axle, already started, timed, tuned, leak checked. It's got its air conditioner compressor on it, and the body's ready to be dropped on this one. And it will be gunmetal gray with power steering, power brakes, air conditioning, power seats, and power windows, if I hadn't already said that.
Nice.
In this corner is the spray booth where the cars get a new coat of paint. We got our mixing room in here. The lighting will be a little dim until things get warmed up. You'll see a chassis that's on a rotisserie. This is the next one in line. The chassis that you just saw is finished. It's got the engine, the running gear, rear axle already assembled. This one will be painted. It'll be clear coated, and then all the parts will be reassembled, and it'll look like that one that you saw out there under the tarp. Then its body will go into body shop, into the body works, bring it here and be painted, and the same process repeats over and over again.
Nice room.
Yeah. So this is where all the painting is done. Let me shut the light before I forget it. And you can edit those videos, huh?
Oh yeah.
So the next step would be we can show the relationship between this chassis and the body that's on the rotisserie that's in the assembly building.
Okay.
You see all these parts are parts that are going to go on that chassis that's in the spray booth. So all of these parts will be going on the chassis that's in the spray booth, but first they need to be sanded, they need to be painted, clear coated, All fresh hardware gets put on them. And when they're done, you can see a piece, for example, like this. Oh, sorry.
No, you good.
Would go right here on this chassis and would be this piece right here. So, before and after. So every suspension component, every steering component, every nut, bolt, screw has to come off.
Every piece gets touched.
Every piece gets touched. So that chassis needs a body. Well, that body's already down here in the assembly building. Because the bodies come down first because there's parts that have to go on the body before you can drop it. There's things like wiring harnesses, headlight buckets, there's your heater, your brake controls, some of your ignition components. So those parts go on the body, which makes it a whole lot easier than trying to fit all those parts with the body down with fresh paint with an engine in the engine bay. So what you'll see next is the finished painted body on a rotisserie. And today I'm going to start putting some parts on so that in maybe about a week I can drop the body on that chassis. And here it is right here. Gunmetal gray, 57. And I got Frank Sinatra playing back here. So I just rolled this one in this morning. It's got a little dust on it from the driveway. I polished up this side a little bit. But it's bare, it's raw. There is nothing on it except my sticker, which always goes on first. That's the Thunder Garage Dellumo Restoration sticker. That's where it goes. But this car has got no hardware on it. It's just sheet metal only. And this is where the process begins.
Nice color. Very nice color.
Gunmetal gray. It's a very cool color. So once the body is dropped, then the interior goes in, and if you want to come over this way, you can actually see the finished components of the car. And you gotta excuse my mess, but for example, this is the dash for that car. It's already, all the gauges have been tested. All the parts are in it, except for the radio, which goes in once it goes into the car. It's got the instrument cluster in it. The speedometer's been zeroed down. Behind it is the seats, which I reupholstered, and now they're waiting to go into the car. So the seats are done. And had I known we were going to video all this, I probably would have had it laid out for you, but that's another story altogether. As well as things like the door panels, which are finished. So the complete interior is ready for this car. It's just a matter of dropping the body and then putting in the components in the proper order that they're supposed to go in. So, and this will be number 11. No, I take that back. The red one outside is number 11. This is number 12 this year. That's going out of the shop. However, it's almost Christmas, so it may not make it this year. So this may be the first one of next year. And that's the life cycle of a Thunderbird.
Windshield. What? How do you? I know that's not the easiest thing to mess with.
No, the windshields are actually pretty simple.
Yeah.
They've got a big rubber gasket around them. Mm-hmm. You drop them in, and you actually put a rope in the groove, and as you pull the string through. Funny you should say that because I have my windshield rope right here. This is actually parachute cord. And you wrap it around the gasket of the windshield, and as you pull it through, the gasket seals, and it seals the glass completely around the lip. If you've done a couple of them, you're an expert because they're not that hard. And most components are pretty easy to find on these cars. They're repopping a lot of parts. There's plenty of aftermarket stuff, and I've got a lot of additional parts that I've saved over the years because I've done so many of these.
What made you want to start doing this?
Let me show you a picture.
Okay.
When I was 15, I didn't even have a driver's license. This is my first car. This is a 1940 Chevrolet Master Deluxe that was in the backyard of a neighbor of mine in Chicago. And I used to call it the gangster car. Used to love gangster cars. I said, one of these days I'm going to get me a gangster car. So I asked the fella if I could buy it from him. And he said, son, if you can get it running, you can have it. And I said, that's all I needed. Because I did have a decent mechanical aptitude even at 15. Didn't have a driver's license, but I did go to his backyard day after day after day during the summer, and eventually I got the car started. We actually had to take part of his fence down to get it out, and I drove it home, and it was a total piece of junk. But it ran, and it stopped, and it started, and my dad said, I don't care where you got it, but you need to get rid of it. But my mom stepped in, and she did the upholstery work. My dad and I did painting, and I drove that car to high school for 3 years. And it was on after that. I've never ever not owned an antique car since that day. And I've been building cars ever since. Dozens and dozens and dozens of classic cars. Anything from Corvettes to 57 Thunderbirds all the way to the Bel Airs and 57 Bonnevilles. The whole spectrum, Mustangs. But I've settled on the 57 T-Bird as my specialty. And that's all I'm going to do. It's just 57 T-Birds. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, this is number 12 in a row. But that's where it all started. 1940 Chevy Master Deluxe.
I see the Judy Sin picture behind there.
Yeah, I bought that years ago, and
Is that one? That wasn't one of your cars.
no,
Okay.
it was just a painting.
Oh, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah, we're good.
And I bought it years and years ago from somewhere. And just stuck it on my desk. I don't even remember where. I think it was hanging in one of my houses at one time. But it was at an art gallery somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of a cool picture.
Yeah.
So.
No, I was curious if that was one of your cars.
No. So, what else do we need to know?